Hi everyone, this is Mary and welcome to Super Skills for Grownups. I want to let you know that we will be going back to our Super Skills for Kids segments, and we are going to be talking next time in that about the letter E, how to form it, what it sounds like, and our word of the week is going to be elephant. Okay, we will read a book about an elephant, and we've got a hands-on activity that involves paper folding, which I will explain to you in a minute so you can help your child. But before we do that, I'm going to show you the book we're going to read, which is My Elephant by Peter Horacek. He's one of the authors I talked about last time. And it's interesting to me that there are so many books for young kids that use animals as their main character. I think there's a couple of reasons for this. One is that young children are generally very interested and curious about animals. They tend to like animals and find them fun. And also, an animal can be a stand-in for a child. There's a simplicity about them that the child can sort of identify with. And it's a little bit safer sometimes for the child to put his emotions, to recognize his emotions or project his emotions onto a four-footed creature instead of onto a child character. So I think those are two of the reasons we see so many animals in books. And actually I have a couple of elephant books that I happen to have, so I thought I'd use that as an illustration of that point. So this book is called Elmer. It's by David McKee. And in this book, there's an elephant named Elmer, who's a beautiful, kind of a patchwork elephant, which causes him not to fit in too well with his herd. So the book talks about what Elmer does to try and make himself fit in with his gray elephant companions, and the lesson he learns by the end of the book. Okay. Another one of my elephant books is called Hooray for Hat, and that's written by Brian Wan. It's one of a series of Hooray for books that he's written. And in this one, Elephant wakes up very grumpy. So during the course of the book, we see what Elephant does to become a little less grumpy. And maybe the most famous elephant in Kitty Lit is Gerald. Okay. From Elephant and Piggy, the early reader series by Mo Willems. And even as I mentioned before, even though it's an early reader book, it's perfectly fine and wonderful to read with your preschooler or even your toddler. And in this book, Gerald the elephant comes across some ice cream, and he's wondering, should he share his ice cream with Piggy? Okay, and we go through all his deliberations along the way in much the same way that a young child might wonder whether he should share something special that he has. So those are some of my elephant books. Our elephant activity is going to be making a paper plate elephant head with a folded paper trunk. Okay? And the reason we're doing this is because the folding is very, very good fine motor skill practice and good bilateral coordination practice using both hands together, and good visual spatial planning and execution. So the child needs to, I'm gonna get my paper. It's not an easy thing to do. To accordion fold, the child is going to need to use both hands. He's going to need to fold the paper over. He's going to have to flip the paper to make that next fold. He's going to have to estimate approximately how much distance to do between the folds so that they're even. And he's going to have to flip the paper again to do the next fold. So it's a pretty complex multi-stage task, and it's not going to be something your child understands right away. You'll help him with it. And it's not something maybe that the younger kids will be able to do without your assistance, but the older children, once you sort of show them how to do it, should probably be able to do it. They'll just continue to fold, and you can get the plate ready for them. All right, so what we did for that was just a plain white paper plate. I just drew a line and a curved around the circle part, approximately a fourth, kind of a quarter of the page of the plate, and then just across from each other. Your child can practice cutting skills by cutting out those two segments that are across from each other. Okay, and the other thing, we need some little white construction paper for the eyes. I just traced around the top of a lotion bottle. I traced around my glue stick for the pupil and the eyes. Your child can glue that together. They're a little bit small. You may have to cut those out for them. They can cut the plate. If your child is a really good cutter, they can do the eyes. If not, you can just cut them out for them. And for the trunk, I just took it's just a length of construction paper, so 12 inches by about 2 inches. I kind of eyeballed it. And you can just leave it as this strip and have your child fold it. But I thought it looked a little more realistic to kind of taper the trunk down to make it maybe a 1/4 of an inch narrower at each side and just taper it up to the full length here. So the elephant's trunk is a little bit smaller at the end. And you can tell I just eyeballed mine, which is why it's not so even on this side. So your child can glue the eyes together, glue them on, glue the trunk together, glue that on, and he's got a little elephant. Oh, and before he does all this, I should have mentioned, I used crayon. Mine turned out really light, gray crayon. But your child can color the plate with crayon. He can paint it if he wants. He can use markers. And it doesn't have to be gray. It can be an elephant like Elmer and be multicolored or be whatever color your child likes. So that is our little elephant. And if your child would like a mask instead of a face that he could use for decoration, if he wants to have a mask, you can cut some eye holes for him about where his eyes would come and use a craft stick or a paint stick or a ruler. Just tape that on the back and your child can have an elephant mask instead. Okay, so that is how next week's Super Skills for Kids is going to shape up. And you can give your child the help and guidance he needs to fold, which is going to be great practice for him. Someday he's going to use these skills. He's going to strengthen his hands, and he'll be using the same set of skills to cut with the scissors, to hold a pencil, to button a button, catch a ball, and zip, lots of other activities that he'll be using fine motor skills in a way that this paper folding is a preparation for. All right, well, thank you very much for being with me, and I will see you next time. Have a great day. Bye-bye.